All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into some seriously mind-bending stuff.
Yeah.
Microtubules and consciousness.
Ooh.
We've got some excerpts here that focus on a few different things.
Okay.
Their evolution,
Mm-hmm.
electromagnetic properties,
Interesting.
and their relationship to bioelectromagnetic fields.
Okay.
Cool. So our mission is to figure out
Yeah.
if these tiny tubes inside our cells actually hold the key to unlocking consciousness,
Right.
or if the answer lies in a broader system.
Yeah, what really intrigues me is that we might be underestimating the role of these structures. Like, we often think of them as simple scaffolding, right?
Right, yeah.
But what if they're actually conducting this whole symphony of information within our brains?
That's exactly what caught my eye, too.
Yeah.
You know, we've all heard the basics about microtubules, but these excerpts dive into their electromagnetic properties,
Okay.
even suggesting that they might act as quantum waveguides.
Oh.
That definitely goes beyond high school biology class.
It does. It does think of them as like these tiny resonators,
Yeah.
vibrating with specific frequencies and potentially influencing the flow of energy and information throughout the neuron.
Okay, so that's a much more nuanced picture
Yeah.
than just imagining them as passive support structures.
Right.
But what's really fascinating is this evolutionary perspective
Okay.
presented in these excerpts.
Uh-huh.
We're going all the way back to the primordial soup
Oh, wow.
billions of years ago.
Okay.
And they suggest that there could be a connection between the earliest life forms and the development of microtubules.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that connection lies in the way those early life forms interacted with water.
Okay.
Because, water isn't just this passive solvent.
Right.
It plays a crucial role in structuring biological systems.
Yeah.
And so early protocells formed from self-assembling fatty acids
Okay.
had these charged surfaces that interacted with water molecules, creating organized layers.
So are we saying that microtubules, which emerged much later, might have inherited some of these properties from those early structures?
That's the idea.
It's like a legacy passed down through billions of years of evolution.
Exactly. Microtubule precursors might have emerged as a way to further optimize this charge flow within the cell, building upon the foundation laid by those early protocells.
Wow. So if this is true, it's like those tiny tubes we learned about in biology class are echoes of some of the very first mechanisms life developed to harness energy and information.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder if these ancient structures played a role in the very beginnings of life. Could they also be involved in something as complex as consciousness?
Okay, so let's fast forward a few billion years to the present day.
Right.
How do these potentially ancient structures factor into the complex workings of the human brain?
Right.
I mean, we're talking about consciousness here, after all.
Yeah.
Not just basic cellular function.
And that's where the excerpts get really interesting.
Okay.
They propose that the brain might be working like this massive electromagnetic symphony with all these different components playing their part to create our thoughts, our emotions, our perceptions.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But where do microtubules fit into this orchestra?
Right.
Are they playing first violin, or are they like part of the percussion section, just subtly influencing the rhythm?
Well, they suggest that microtubules could be involved in influencing that delicate balance of charge transfer and electromagnetic coherence within neurons. So imagine them as like this network of resonators, almost like an underlying hum that affects the overall harmony.
So microtubules are shaping the brain's electrical symphony.
Yes.
Okay. But the excerpts also highlight the importance of water in all of this.
Right.
What's the connection between water, microtubules, and consciousness?
Water plays a far more active role in the brain than we once thought. So inside microtubules, it's not just sloshing around randomly.
Right.
It forms these structured domains influenced by the electromagnetic environment.
Interesting.
And these structured water molecules might act like this kind of internal conductor, facilitating the flow of energy and information.
Along the microtubule.
Along the microtubules.
So we have these potentially ancient structures possibly influencing the brain's electromagnetic field.
Right.
All while structured water is acting as a conductor inside them.
Exactly. And if we connect all these pieces, a really compelling question emerges.
Okay, what's that?
Are microtubules themselves the source of consciousness?
Right.
Or are they just one instrument in a much larger orchestra?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
Some scientists believe microtubules are the source. Right. But these excerpts seem to offer a different perspective.
They do.
Okay.
While microtubules might play a supporting role, they argue that consciousness likely emerges from the collective behavior of a much larger system, a bioelectromagnetic symphony, if you will, where microtubules are just one of the instruments.
So it's not about pinpointing one single source of consciousness, but understanding the interplay of all these elements.
Exactly.
Electromagnetic fields, water, and potentially microtubules, working together to create something greater than the sum of their parts.
Exactly. But before we get too carried away with this holistic view, let's dig a little deeper into the arguments for and against this idea of microtubules as the seat of consciousness.
Great point, because after all, we're here to critically examine all the evidence.
Yes.
Not just accept one theory without question.
Absolutely.
Let's dive into that debate and see what insights we can uncover.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about the fascinating properties of microtubules, but I think we need to address the elephant in the room here.
Oh, yeah.
The debate about whether microtubules are truly the seat of consciousness.
Yeah, the microtubule consciousness theory, it's a controversial one.
Right.
And the excerpts we have seem to lean against that specific interpretation.
Right. They suggest that microtubules might play like a supporting role in consciousness.
Yeah.
But that they're not the sole source of our subjective experience.
Right.
But can you elaborate on that?
Sure.
What are the arguments for and against this theory?
Well, the main argument for the microtubule consciousness theory is that microtubules possess these unique properties that could theoretically support quantum computations. Remember how we talked about them acting as potential quantum waveguides?
Yeah, the idea that they could be channeling information using the principles of quantum mechanics.
Exactly. And proponents of this theory suggest that these quantum computations within microtubules could give rise to consciousness. They argue that the brain's complex electromagnetic environment could influence these quantum processes, leading to the emergence of subjective experience.
So it's like microtubules are like tiny quantum computers inside our neurons, orchestrating the symphony of consciousness.
That's the basic idea.
Okay.
However, there are also strong arguments against this theory.
Okay.
The main criticism is that there's no direct evidence to support the idea that quantum computations in microtubules are actually happening, or that they're necessary for consciousness.
So it's more of a theoretical possibility than proven fact.
Precisely, and even if these quantum computations were happening, it's not clear how they would translate into our subjective experience of the world.
Right.
There's a huge gap between observing quantum phenomena in microtubules and explaining how that gives rise to feelings, thoughts, and perceptions.
It sounds like the excerpts are urging us to be cautious about jumping to conclusions.
I think so.
You know, just because microtubules have some interesting properties doesn't automatically make them the key to consciousness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The excerpts highlight the importance of considering alternative explanations.
Right.
And not putting all our eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Okay.
They suggest that consciousness is likely a product of the brain's overall electromagnetic activity, with microtubules potentially playing a role, but not necessarily being the primary driver.
So it's back to the orchestra analogy. Microtubules might be an important instrument, but they're not the conductor of the entire symphony.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
The excerpts encourage us to look at the bigger picture and consider how all these different elements of the brain work together to create consciousness, rather than focusing on any single component as the sole source.
That makes sense. But if we're moving away from this idea of microtubules as the sole source of consciousness, what are some of the other instruments in this orchestra that we should be considering? The excerpts did touch upon the importance of bioelectromagnetic fields and water coherence. Could those be key players in the emergence of consciousness?
Absolutely. Remember how we talked about structured water inside microtubules acting like a conductor?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that water molecules throughout the brain can form these coherent domains, influencing electrical charge and information transfer between neurons.
So we're not just talking about water inside microtubules, but the water surrounding all the neurons acting as a kind of communication network.
Precisely, and it gets even more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
These coherent domains of water can be influenced by electromagnetic fields, creating a dynamic interplay between electrical activity, water structure, and information processing in the brain.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all connects.
Yeah.
We have these bioelectromagnetic fields generated by the brain's electrical activity, influencing the structure of water molecules, which in turn can affect the way neurons communicate with each other.
Exactly.
And microtubules, with their potential electromagnetic properties, could be playing a role in amplifying or fine-tuning these effects.
Exactly. It's like a complex dance between these different elements, all contributing to this overall symphony of consciousness.
Yeah.
And this brings us to a crucial point.
Okay.
The excerpts emphasize that consciousness likely emerges from the collective behavior of this entire system, not just one isolated component.
So it's not about finding the consciousness molecule or the consciousness brain region.
Right.
It's about understanding how all these different elements interact.
Exactly.
And create something greater than the sum of their parts.
That's the key takeaway here.
Okay.
The excerpts invite us to shift our thinking away from reductionist views of consciousness and embrace a more holistic perspective.
Okay.
It's the intricate interplay of electromagnetic fields, water coherence, microtubule dynamics, and countless other processes.
Wow.
That gives rise to our subjective experience of the world.
That's such an exciting and mind-boggling concept.
It is.
It reminds us that the brain is so much more than just this collection of cells and chemicals.
Right.
It's a dynamic, interconnected system.
Yeah.
Where even the tiniest components can have a profound impact on the whole.
And this new understanding of microtubules as part of a larger system has profound implication for how we approach consciousness research. It means we need to move beyond simply studying individual components in isolation and start focusing on these complex interactions and emergent properties of the brain as a whole.
It seems like we're just scratching the surface of understanding how all these elements work together to create consciousness.
I agree.
But what's exciting is that we're starting to see the bigger picture.
Right.
Acknowledging the complexity and the interconnectedness of the brain.
Absolutely. And with this shift in perspective, we're opening up these new avenues for research and discovery.
Okay.
Instead of searching for this single magic bullet of consciousness.
Right.
We're starting to appreciate this intricate dance of multiple players, each contributing to this grand symphony of our subjective experience.
This has been an incredible journey so far.
Yeah, it has.
We've explored the potential origins of microtubules, their role in the brain's electromagnetic symphony, and the importance of this holistic view of consciousness.
Indeed, it's been a fascinating deep dive into the intricate workings of our brains.
Okay.
But our exploration isn't over yet.
Oh.
The excerpts also bring up the question of glial cells.
Okay.
Those often overlooked components of the brain.
Yeah.
What if they're playing a more significant role in this consciousness orchestra than we previously thought?
Glial cells.
Yeah.
I have to admit, they never seemed as exciting as neurons.
Right.
What makes them so interesting in the context of consciousness?
Well, for starters, there are a lot of them. They actually outnumber neurons in the brain.
Wow.
Which already hints at their potential importance. For years, they were considered just these, like, support cells, you know?
Right.
Providing structural support and nutrients to the neurons.
Yeah, the real stars of the show.
Right, exactly.
Love neurons.
But recent research has kind of turned that idea on its head.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's not just about the neurons firing away, but also how glial cells interact with them.
Exactly.
And potentially shape the overall symphony.
Precisely. We're discovering that they have their own communication networks.
Okay.
Influencing synaptic plasticity, modulating neural activity, and even contributing to memory formation.
So they're not just keeping the beat.
No.
They're actively shaping the melody.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so how do glial cells fit into this whole water and electromagnetic field picture we've been discussing?
Right.
Are they involved in that interplay as well?
That's what's so fascinating. Glial cells play a key role in regulating the brain's extracellular environment, which includes those crucial water molecules we've been talking about. Right. So they could be shaping the structure of those coherent domains, influencing how information flows through the brain's water network.
Wow. So they're not just passively sitting there.
No.
They're actively participating in the orchestra.
Yes.
Influencing both the players and the conductor.
Right.
And to top it off, you mentioned that they're sensitive to electromagnetic fields.
Exactly.
Wow.
They can detect and respond to changes in the brain's electromagnetic environment.
Okay.
So it adds another layer of complexity to this already intricate system.
Yeah.
It seems like with every discovery, we're uncovering a new level of sophistication in the brain's orchestra.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me.
Oh.
We've moved from this rather simplistic view of microtubules as mere scaffolding to appreciating their potential role in a complex interplay of electromagnetic fields, structured water, and glial cell activity.
And most importantly, we've shifted our focus from searching for a single source of consciousness to understanding the symphony of the brain as a whole.
That's right.
It's this humbling reminder that even with all our scientific advancements, we're still just beginning to grasp the incredible complexity of the brain and the enigma of consciousness.
It is a truly humbling thought.
Yeah.
This deep dive has sparked so many new questions and avenues for exploration for me.
What kind of questions?
Like, what other instruments are waiting to be discovered in this incredible orchestra?
Right.
What other harmonies are yet to be revealed?
Those are questions that will undoubtedly keep scientists and philosophers busy for generations to come.
It seems like it.
But for now, I think it's safe to say that we've gained a much deeper appreciation for the complexity and beauty of the brain, and perhaps a renewed sense of wonder about the mysteries it holds.
Absolutely. This has been an incredible deep dive.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So to all our listeners out there,
yes,
keep those brain waves buzzing.
Yeah.
Keep asking those big questions.
Keep diving deep.
And never stop exploring that fascinating world within and around you.
Couldn't agree more.
Who knows what incredible discoveries await us?
Yeah, who knows?
As we continue to dive deeper into the mysteries of the brain and the universe itself,